For a minimum of Ichigo's power, all the way back in the Soul Society arc, he has shown the ability to outclash the Sokyoku while just in base. This is important as the Sokyoku is stated to verbatimly have the power to destroy the Soul Society. And with the current scale that Bleach demonstrated at this time, it's most likely and consistently would be argued that it's just a reference to the actual planet they live on and not the actual realm. This is even backed up upon as inside this arc, just by Ichigo flexing his power, he was affecting and putting the entire world at risk. This planetary level of power is consistent as a Bankai Yamamoto is able to destroy the Soul Society just by existing and holding back. And the weakest Yuha is able to one-shot said Yama, while Ichigo can fight a much stronger version of Yuha. However, this planetary is merely just the lowest interpretation of Ichigo, as in the Fullbring arc, just by going Bankai, he is able to effortlessly destroy Yukio's dimension. This is important as Yukio thought it was utterly impossible for anything to destroy his dimension. This is important as he's a being who's already demonstrated the ability to create stars in his dimension. Irregardless if you think he does or doesn't scale to his creations, he's still aware that star creations being within their range of power, yet he still thinks it's impossible to break his dimensions. And Ichigo, just by transforming as a byproduct, was shown to destroy it. One, this shows Bleach characters can control their own destructive capability as they're not just nuking planets every time they fight. But this also shows that Ichigo's casual Reiatsu can destroy dimensions potent enough to contain stars. This alone being a star to solar system level feat due to the astronomical unit Yukio's dimension would claim. With this star level power being consistent for this Fullbring, Ichigo has people who are on a similar level of him, that being War Arc Grimjaw, being stated in the Can't Fear Your Own World Volume 2 light novel, that a Grand Ray Sail from him while just in base had enough power to destroy the sun itself. Just adding more consistency to this level of power for Ichigo. However, at the pinnacle of Ichigo's power, when he achieves his Horn of Salvation, he is able to fight a sulking Yuha with his eyes closed. That being the same person who not only gave Gremmy his power, in which he states and is shown to have created outer space, which contains visible stars and even galaxies, which inside the Can't Fear Your Own World Volume 1 light novel states he instantly materialized it. And unlike Yukio's discrepancy, we know Gremmy scales to what he creates, as he needs to create clones to double his power or so on, so he can actually create and handle his own creations, making Gremmy at least galaxy level and Yuha and Ichigo by proxy. And this galaxy level power is consistent as one of the Zero Squad members, Senjamaro, just by transforming into her Bankai, is, quote, able to shake the heavens and the earth, which is actually visually shown in the anime to shake the entirety of the Bleach cosmology. Now, people say due to the wording heaven and earth, it is in reference to the actual planets and not the realms. However, the actual kanji being used is Tenshi, which verbatimly translates to the physical universe. With the Bleach cosmology being stated to not only just be a universe, it's also visually shown to contain galaxies, stars, and nebulas in both the world of the living and even the Soul Society, and them just being stated to be two sides of the same coin, implying they're equal or somewhat similar in size, meaning she potentially shook two universal size structures. With feats of this magnitude come out to the galaxy to even multi-galaxy level dependent on said factors, and Ichi-based skills above her, which a way weaker Yuha just one-shotted, making Ichigo at his strongest due to the scaling to sulking Yuha with his eyes closed would be in the galaxy to even now multi-galaxy level of range. With speed being a contentious thing within Bleach, I do believe I found a consistent scaling line that doesn't get too ludicrous. All the way back in the Soul Society arc, Uryu was able to move so fast he blitzed his own shadow, with said feat being consistently calculated upwards of 50% the speed of light or relativistic speeds. With captains just blatantly being superior to him at this time, this is consistent as we have lieutenants at this relativistic to nearing light speed, as they're able to dodge the Nagashionne, which is stated to be a beam of light inverse and then followed in the unmasked data books to be again a beam of light. Even the weakest Espada member, Ashinyero, is not only able to easily outdo and combat the lieutenants, but he can even dodge light on his own volition. So even assuming he's only equal to that Uryu's relativistic speed feat, with each other Espada member being stronger than the last, just assuming they're at least a 2 times difference between each other, then the base Ukiura would be 16 times greater than him, or would be 8 times the speed of light. And with his resurrection, he would be 100 times greater than his base, as a resurrection is stated to be equal to that of a Bankai, which as we all know is a 10 times amp. And then he stacks another 10 times amp on top of it with his second resurrection, making him in his second form 800 times the speed of light, or him being massively faster than the speed of light. And Vasa Lord Ichigo is able to easily perception blitz him with said Ukiura, just assuming he is bare minimally 2 times greater, then he would be 1600 times the speed of light. With the base Aizen being superior to that Ichigo, he would then at least be 2 times greater, and then he would be 3200 times the speed of light. With the base Aizen being superior to that Ichigo at his strongest, and a Dangai Ichigo being stronger than a third fusion Aizen, just assuming he got 2 times greater, then he would be 3200 times the speed of light. And with Mugetsu being an even greater level above Dangai itself, just assuming again just a 2 times minimum increase, he'd be 6400 times the speed of light. Which is stated that a base true Shikai Ichigo had Mugetsu's power in base, meaning a base Ichigo would be over 6000 times the speed of light, let alone him using Bankai or the Horn of Salvation. With Ichigo's abilities consisting of soul manipulation, even to the point of durability and negation on the spiritual level, and due to the power system of Bleach, if you're just superior to your opponent, you have a power nullification which knows their abilities and even just their regular attacks. He even has resistances to existence erasure, as he can physically manhandle Aizen, which has a passive existence erasure aura that works on the physical and even shown during the Soul Society on the spiritual level as well. The year is 2024 and people still think Naruto isn't even planetary. Here we go. With Naruto and Sidekick Seem 2 being stated to have the full power and extent of Kurama, with Kurama being stated in the second data book to be able to turn the world to ash, with this being supported by the fourth data book with them having earth-shattering power, with there being another data book statement of Kurama's planetary power, that being in the Boruto bonus ninjutsu directory, where it states that his Bijudamas have enough power to destroy the earth. And if you are the one that isn't sold on data book statements or don't think they're reliable, not to worry, as we have actual planetary feats that put him above any statement that we have so far. With a 1 Rinnegan 6-path Madara being stated to have power close to that of Hagoromo, with a younger Hagoromo being able to create the moon. Within the anime, we actually get to visually see how and long and when this takes place, with it taking approximately 2 minutes and 7 seconds to create. With us having the mass of the moon, this would be prior to the hollowing out of it, and due to the distance that we have as needed for a Roche limit, and the actual time it took place, or it would have been moving at around 300 meters per second, and the actual KE it needed to perform such feat would come out to around 335 duodecillion joules of energy, or large planetary. And with a base 6-path Naruto just boiling said Madara, he would scale to this said large planetary power. However, when the Otosuxis get introduced, the scale gets taken to an entirely new level. Now, I know this will be brought up in the comment section if I don't bring it up, so I'll address it first. Yes, Kaguya did make space times. This is just verbatimly stated, and saying that she didn't is just being disingenuous. However, what people say afterwards is what I disagree with. If you were to look up is space-time 4D, you will almost 100% of the time get a yes. So yeah, Naruto's universal and Solo's your favorite viewers, yippee. Or does he? Because taking a closer look, this doesn't follow well. Spacetime as described by Einstein's general relativity or by its lesser known predecessor Minkowski space is a three-dimensional space that being length, width, and depth, and with the fusion of one-dimensional of time. Now on a technical standpoint, this is 4D, but it isn't 4D spatially. Now how we use to define these higher dimensions in terms of scaling or even science is based on Ludwig Scarfty and his theory of Edwin space, which incorporates and necessitates these actual higher spatial dimensions, with Minkowski space and inner space both being addressed as being fundamentally different from each other. So with Einstein-Minkowski structure of space and not being higher dimensional, it would not be 4D, at least not in the spatial sense. And thus Kaguya isn't 4D and Naruto by proxy. Starting with Kaguya, she's just the weakest of the two. Naruto's not only shown to be able to cut off her arm, but also shown to mortally wound her with his Biju arts, just showing that his teen self alone does scale to her. With Kaguya being stated to have created her dimensions, and just to be able to completely rewrite them instantly, And especially with her super expansive truth-seeking orb, it was verbatimly stated that she was going to destroy her Genesis dimension and then recreate a new one. With this being highlighted as to say that the realm would have been destroyed and Team 7 would have not been able to return afterwards. Kaguya is even able to exist in her super expansive truth-seeking orb. Even if you think she's just resisting it as it's her jutsu, that's irrelevant as Naruto would still scale to it. Does that mean he can produce or output more chakra or more potent chakra than what she can resist, making Kaguya scale to her own dimensions and at least Naruto by proxy. So for the actual scale of her dimensions, they are shown to contain many stars in them, even containing a night and day cycle. With this being the case, the actual scale of the dimensions would be a bare minimum of a solar system level realm, as we're not only incorporating the moons, planetoid stars, and the actual encompassing space of said celestial bodies. With Momoshiki and his scaling also comes from his dimension, as it's stated that in both the light novel and in the anime that he created said dimension, and he was even draining it of all his chakra and beyond. With Momoshiki's dimension showing to contain many stars and nebulae, this just as a basis would be a solar system sized feat, hence scaling him to said level. However, this can be taken higher due to the dimension visually having and showing a redshift nebula. Redshift nebula is just containing and confirming the existence of galaxies, making Momoshiki's realm shoot up to galaxy to even multi-galaxy level. With what we have already established that base Momoshiki scales to this, and in his fused state he is just blatantly stated to have gotten stronger, and at base Naruto is able to fight and react to said Momo, and in his 6th path stage one he's just blatantly scaling him if not greater. However, Momoshiki's realm can be taken higher with a different interpretation, as it's not only stated to be a parallel dimension, but inside the episode catalog it verbatimly states it to be a parallel universe. With this, Momoshiki's dimension would be universal, and he and said Naruto would scale to this by proxy. And before you come and complain about this, we have the visual feats already show it can be universal in size, and you have to remember even on a narrative scale this is consistent. As the Otosuxi's will is for them to constantly eat the chakra of planets and to eventually evolve into godhood. The same godhood of Shibai which led him to become a verbatimly higher dimensional being, just blatantly. So one must ask, how far off is Momoshiki from this level? And him literally creating universal dimensions brings consistency to the narrative of Naruto. And with this out of the way, Naruto would ironically be universal. Now the best actual speed feat that Naruto scales to comes from when he was fighting Momoshiki with Sasuke. As in the duration of the fight, Momoshiki was absorbing his entire universe and beyond of its chakra, meaning he can produce these massively fast and light speed feats by via draining, and someone as a weakened Sasuke could casually perceive this process happening, and Naruto just casually is someone on his level. With the cinematic timing of this process taking around 252.6 seconds, and if we just use the standard universe length, that means Momoshiki was draining at over 11 million times the speed of light, and said Naruto, just by scaling off him and Sasuke, would scale to it. Now people try to claim that this is inconsistent as Naruto just barely dodged Madara's light fang as a teen. However, this is just not the case, as you have an almost blind EMS Sasuke just reacting to Dari's laser circus, which verbatimly states to be beams of light, as well as a dying, almost blind Itachi reacting to Kirin, which is both stated in the 3rd data book and the 2nd fan book to be stated to be moving at the speed of light. And no, Zetsu's claim does not contradict Kirin being the speed of light, as he simply thought it was moving at the speed of lightning, and he has never seen this jutsu before, thus he would not know the properties or characteristics of it. Even Edo Madara was able to react to Tsunade mid-teleportation via the Heavenly Transfer Jutsu, which transports matter at the speed of light. Also, you have Naruto just casually dodging said light fang, and funny enough, Madara never uses it again. Almost like he knew, hey, this shit was slow, let's not use it anymore. Either way, this doesn't contradict FTL or MFTL Naruto. Naruto's moveset is very fast, so I'm only going to go over the ones that he uses not only in character, but the most irrelevant ones. Such as his Shadow Clone Jutsu, which on a low ball he can create over 1,000 clones, to as shown he can create as many as there are leaves on a tree, which average trees contain over 200,000 leaves, so he can make a lot. However, these clones seem not to be the same durability as him, as they just pop to things that the original can tank. He also has durability negation via the Rasen Shuriken on a cellular level, as he can just destroy cells with it. Has soul manipulation and non-physical interaction, as he can just interact with souls and resist them and directly grab onto Kaguya's realm with the non-physical interaction. He also has fear manipulation, as demonstrated many times within the series. Some form of low to mid regeneration is shown. He also has some type of cosmic awareness, as he can see Madara's limbo clones, which are just completely invisible and untouchable beings. It's just in a completely adjacent dimension, and Naruto can just interact with them as well. Naruto is also resistant to power nullification via able to interact and kick the truth-seeking orbs, and by proxy he's also resistant to existence erasure, as truth-seeking orbs not only erase the physical being but also shown to exist the spiritual being as well. And if you give him his old truth-seeking orbs, then he has those abilities by proxy. With Luffy, the soon-to-be king of pirates, in a state where he just generally scales to most and not all of the feats displayed in this verse. For example, in Wano, after gaining advanced Conqueror's Haki, he's able to go blow for blow with a hybrid Kaido. Which, mind you, all the Yonkos were considered relative to each other to an extent. Kaido himself thinks only a select few can even fight him, some of which are literally prime Whitebeard of all people, and now considers Luffy one of those people while just in base. So Luffy's got a lot of material to work with, such now scaling to at least the Whitebeard of his old self being able to cause earthquakes. So powerful that he was, quote, shaking everything, it even being stated within the chapter itself that he shook the planet. This can be consistent, as other vice animals admit that it's regardless where they are, his power will reach them and they will never be safe, supporting these planetary range, which is only directly confirmed in the One Piece Deep Blue databook, where it states that he verbatimly shook the planet, with calculations results varying depending on what magnitude you think it was, which I say it's a magnitude 8. This is due to him actually causing tsunamis with his earthquakes, which are generally need earthquakes of magnitude 8 or higher to actually produce. With that being the case, this feat would be multi-continental, and this level of scaling isn't inconsistent either, as Luffy with his Baragon gun, with just due to the mass and speed it was traveling at, is calculated upwards of moon to even small planetary, just supporting that this Luffy is stronger than the old Whitebeard. However, all these calculations are presupposing that the One Piece planet is that of our Earth size, which we have substantial evidence to support that it's not. With the Shahara River being 50 kilometers wide, and then comparing that to the island of Alabasta, then comparing Alabasta to the Grand Line, and then lastly comparing that to the whole planet, the actual GBE, or the force needed to overwhelm or destroy the planet, is actually star level. With this being the case, Whitebeard shaking the world with this new updated size shows up dramatically, as now we need to follow the earthquake formula, and with the new bigger circumference of the planet, he would have caused a magnitude 23 earthquake, or when converting that to joules of energy, he would have produced 2.33 times 10 to the 35 joules of energy, or large planetary power, which again, just base Luffy scales to. Now, talking about for the absolute highest end for Luffy is taking the power to destroy the world statement literally, which can be backed up in, as in the same Deep Blue databook page as we discussed earlier, he also reiterates this point. And in the Ace Light novels, it also states that he can just destroy the world itself verbatim. With his planetary lore kind of being consistent for Whitebeard, as we've already established, the force needed to overwhelm the One Piece planet's GBE for Whitebeard would actually be star level, and base Luffy and Wano would scale to this by proxy. And this can be consistent if you think Blackbeard is creating actual black holes. Now, the only reason this is a possibility is due to him describing the characteristics of it being nigh identical to an actual black hole. But in the One Piece magazine volume 10, they go super in depth in Blackbeard, his black holes, and just black holes in general, in which it states that he has the same characteristics as a real black hole, with the only difference being that while black holes can't release the energy they absorb, he can. And the calculations of his black hole being the dwarf star and nigh small star level range, and said old Whitebeard just bodies him, only bringing some consistency of this higher end that is star level base Luffy. Luffy's speed being easily and then faster than light ranges, as in Wano, a pre-advanced Conqueror's Haki, Luffy is able to contest a base Kaido. which he should be equal if not greater than his henchman Queen, which not only uses beams, which ironically beams in One Piece are just stated to be beams of light verbatimly. More importantly, it is stated that he is just as fast as Ninja Vinza Smoke's Henzer Blazer technique, which is stated in his Viva card to be moving at the speed of light, making said base Luffy the speed of light. Then he goes Gear 4th when Kaido starts ramping up and enters his dragon form. So now we must discuss the Gear 4th amp. Gear 2 is able to bring Luffy, who was equal to Bluno, to Rob Lucci in his hybrid leopard form, with there actually being a confirmed numerical difference between Bluno and Lucci, as Oda introduced power levels at this time. With Bluno having a power level of 820 and just a base Lucci having a power level of 4000, with the difference between the two being a 4.8, which I round up to a 5 times, as he does get stronger in his hybrid form, making Gear 2nd a 5 times amp. With Gear 4th being an even higher form, as is stated by Doflamingo to make him many times stronger than before. Many by definition is more than several, and several is a factor of 3, making Gear 4th 4 times that of Gear 2, or it being a 20 times amp, making said Gear 4th Luffy 20 times the speed of light. Then later on, when using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he was scaling to a hybrid Kaido in base, making said base Luffy now 20 times the speed of light. And with Gear 5th not only being stated to be his strongest form, but give him an even greater physical amp. So just assuming it's twice as much or twice as great than Gear 4th, it would be a 40 times amp, and Luffy would now be 800 times the speed of light, or massively faster than the speed of light. With Luffy's abilities consisting of spiritual or soul manipulation, as Haki as a power system is said energies, and with it he can do various things, as with Observation Haki, he can only enhance his already current senses, but also see into the future to various degrees. With Armament Haki, he has non-physical interaction, and supernatural willpower with Conqueror's Haki, as he can knock out others via overpowering their will. However, with Gear 5, he has some form of subjective reality manipulation, and is also implied to have some form of Toon Force. For Shinra Banshaman scaling, he legit becomes the god of his verse both metaphorically and literally. He is able to no-sell the Despair Saintess attacks like it's nothing, which is just how Maya fusing with the Evangelists, who is also able to one-shot the Evangelists. The Evangelists just being the collective unconsciousness incarnate, which is also Adola, meaning Shinra Banshaman scales above the Evangelists, which is also Adola by proxy. With Adola being stated to be a higher plane a multitude of times, now higher plane by definition is usually in reference to a higher mental or spiritual realm. However, this is just a mistranslation on Viz's part, as in the actual kanji of the scans, the kanji Kojigen is used, which translates to higher dimensions, specifically in reference to mathematical spatial dimensions. This is consistent as it's referred to as a dimension and a physical one at that. It's not some type of mental space or something. It's even referred to blatantly as a higher dimension by someone who actually studies it, as well as consistently portrayed and or stated to be a dimension that transcends or is incomprehensible to normal people without a grace by the Evangelists, as well as the Evangelists just blatantly being stated to be a higher dimensional being, which again is using the same kanji Kojigen, which is in reference to mathematical higher spatial dimensionality. And with the fact that Fire Force having no previously established higher cosmological structure to it, the Evangelists and Shinra Banshaman by proxy would be 4th dimensional or universal plus in attack potency and maybe even destructive capability, depending on what you think the Cataclysm is. With his speed being easier to go over, as with his Adola burst he's able to go at the speed of light. But due to how Fire Force operates under general relativity, when they reach this set of speed of light, time as a constant just stops. He's essentially moving so fast that time just stops. This is consistent as shows Adola burst Severed Universe allows him to stop time by controlling and taking on the expanding heat of the universe, thus stopping time. And when Shinra reaches his speed, he's actually able to move in this stop time, which is confirmed to be his raw speed combating Shou's ability. This level of speed would be what most would call inaccessible. However, this can be taken to an even higher extent, as he's stated to be able to go faster than light. Which in this verse, going faster than light allows you to go so fast you're actually able to time travel. Which is confirmed that the manner of doing this is he's actually transcending time itself to actually do this with his raw speed. And then he later gets so much faster and stronger without the Adola burst, he's able to go these speeds within base. And with Shinra Banshman just being beyond everyone, including his previous base self, he would be easily reaching those immeasurable speeds. This is consistent as he has his own similar immeasurable speed feats which he can do casually on a whim, giving Shinra Banshman immeasurable speed. If you haven't noticed, this fight isn't fair, as I didn't even go over Shinra's abilities. Shinra would just ironically speed blitz and one-shot all of them while not really trying. And hey, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. I do plan on making more better and thematic videos with more lore and tech with it, but all I can tell you is Mr. Crafty is back.